What's up, Lego builders? Welcome back to Coconut Brick Studios for the final update of building an Imperial base on Mimban in Lego. All right, let's see what's on the to-do list this week. Okay. Oh, finish the mock. What else is there to say other than get comfortable, don't forget to execute order 66 on that like button, and let's get building. I'm going to kick things off by finishing the back of the base. I need to build the back wall of the command center. It shouldn't be too difficult other than the edges, which will need to slope inward as the wall gets higher to match the curve of the roof. To do that, I'm using various slopes which will run alongside the strip of ball joints that makes up one of the curved supports. The roof bends at a weird angle, even changing in certain areas, so I have to experiment with different slopes trying to find ones that match up with it the best. In the middle of the wall, I'm leaving a rectangular opening so I can still get inside once the walls and roof are on, because once the rest of this roof is in place, it cannot be removed very easily, so I wanted to make sure I still had easy access to the command center so we could see the minifigs planning, staring at hollow tables, and pushing those buttons. I'm constructing the removable panel out of plate and tile. I figured this would be easier to remove than a brick-built one because it's thinner, so there'll be less friction with the bricks around it as it's being pulled out. Plus, I'm pretty much at a dark bluish gray brick at this point, so I don't really have any other options. I added some greebles and a vent because your base can never be too well ventilated, or, well, I guess it can. The panel fit into place perfectly, and I started to build the wall over the top of it, but didn't realize until it was too late that I should probably be holding the panel in place while pushing bricks down on it. After all that was figured out, I was able to finish the wall, continuing to match the slope of the roof as best I could. I'm sure you saw the terrain last week and knew there was going to be another haul video. It's kind of embarrassing how bad I've underestimated the tile needed. I must have skipped that class in college or something. I was able to get some parts for my Battle of the Bulge mock series, which will be happening over on my second channel, Coconut's Kingdom. I got some of the white fern pieces, which when flipped upside down make a cool looking snowy pine tree. Whoever sent this bricklink order packed up my parts like an ammo belt, so I guess you could say I'm now locked and loaded and ready to mow through some more terrain. I also got a big bag of the studded tiles, which I prefer to the completely smooth ones. Parts in hand, I am determined to get the hill all done. It's just sitting there menacingly, and I was worried I didn't have enough slopes to effectively cap it off. But as you can see, I'm very close to the summit and I still have lots of parts to spare. My plan was to have a burned out forest in the corner of the mock. I love building foliage, and even though we don't see much on Mimban, I thought it would give the terrain some much needed life, and some scrubby trees dotting the hill could help cover it up and give the rebels more hiding spots. I stacked a bunch of headlight bricks in black and reddish brown to make the trees look charred, then stuck rows of stems in the same colors, tapering up to the top to create the conical tree shape. They're simple yet very effective, and since Mimban is so dank and hostile, you wouldn't have tall flourishing oak trees but small scrubby pine trees like this. Plus, getting torched by multiple Imperial bombing runs didn't do much for their growth. What kind of an update would this be without some terrain tiling? I bought a ton of 2x2 curved slopes to finish the Juggernaut's path. This area used up a lot more parts than I thought it would, which should honestly just be the motto of the series at this point, because I feel like I'm saying that multiple times a video. But lesson learned, don't slack off on terrain and terrain heavy builds. It's so simple, and yet here we are. I do have some good news though. I'm able to finish the last gun emplacement guarding the trench. It's going to be another E-web cannon with a barbed wire patch next to it. I'm basically done with the defenses in front of the trench now, minus the area where the bridge will sit. I'd like to include a couple guard towers there and some more barbed wire, but I still need to finish the actual trench before tackling that. I feel like I keep finishing parts of the base and then remember two more that still need to be done, but the command center is no longer one of those unfinished ones. It's walled off and ready to hold top secret meetings and intense planning sessions with the Imperial top brass. Next step is to add the minifigs, and you're gonna see a lot that might look out of place here, and that's because my YouTube members get a fig of their choice representing them in the command center. If you want to join their ranks and cement your place on Mimban, join my YouTube member community, links in the comments. Sadly, I ran out of tile yet again while building the back of the base compound, so this was all that was able to be finished. Even with how flat it is, I'm still going through more tile than expected, but at least it looks good. After this progress segment is over, I'm going to jump over here and finish the storage area. Not much to say about this trench area. You've seen it on the other side, and there really isn't anything new over here. I do feel like the barbed wire looks a little better on this side though. People like the water hose bit I did in the last update, so I think I'll leave that in for the finale. I guess it'll help people better understand why the trench is as clean as it is. Of all the things I've finished this week and will finish, I think I'm the most relieved and excited to have the hill done. Because it was so different from hills and mountains I've previously done, I was stressed about not having enough pieces to properly finish it, and I had no real idea of what I wanted it to look like, so it was challenging getting the whole thing built and getting all the different sections to fit together cohesively, but somehow I did it. Honestly, this looks much better than I thought it would. There aren't a lot of trees on it, but this is the remains of a burnt out forest, so it's not going to be super dense, and I'll add some more stumps and broken trees in later. I'm especially proud of how the paths leading up to the top turned out. With the series about to end, I need to address a glaring issue in the base. There's no way to cross the trench. So it's time I built a bridge to span the gap. I'm not building some ancient crumbling arch, but instead a sleek mobile structure that can be quickly deployed wherever and support even the largest of Imperial tanks. I'm gonna model this after the mobile bridges used by most real-world militaries, minus the big gap in the middle. So I'm building it in 3 chunks, a flat middle with 2 panels angling down on either side to give it a somewhat arched shape. For whatever reason, I just couldn't get this piece out of my mind when thinking about the bridge. I felt like it would make the perfect hinge piece to get the front and back to slope downwards, but that means I'm gonna have to work with everyone's least favorite kind of Lego, Technic. I experimented with a bunch of different Technic bricks and beams to create a frame that could connect the hinge to the plated panels. As an added bonus, these Technic pieces do make the bridge look more realistic, like it was built with steel components instead of Lego bricks. With that figured out, I can start the middle portion. I built another Technic support which will connect the front panel to the main body. The body is just a flat slab of tile which I built off camera and connected to one of the angled panels. For how much I was putting this off, it was really fun to build, and so far I'm really happy with how it looks. Let me know in the comments what you think of the bridge. Once the main frame has been assembled, it's time for the finish work. I added a round tile and light bluish gray stud to each hinge to help it stand out better, and tiled off the sides to cover up the pegs and holes in the Technic frame, giving the bridge a smooth, studless appearance. Believe it or not, that was the last standalone build needed for Mimban. Now I just need to finish up any incomplete areas, one such being the storage area. It needs its last 2 silos, which I'm very happy to build. These are a lot of fun, and I love building random storage structures for some reason. Plus, these are already designed, so I can just enjoy the assembly process. I'm still not sure what these are holding though. I had a few suggestions, including one that said these were full of soap for cleaning the base. Let me know in the comments what you think these should be holding. This last build is another little tower or antenna, and I got the perfect suggestions for what these should be. A couple people said moisture sensors and alarm sensors, and I love these ideas. Given the very dark, stormy nature of Mimban, you would want lots of sensors guarding the perimeter and gathering data on the weather to feed back to HQ. Once that's in place, I have a few more areas to tile off, and I thought it would be great to cap off the building portion of the episode by finishing the black frame. Not a very flashy or vital part of the build, but it just adds that extra level of detail, making the MOC feel more complete. It's interesting that 2 of the things I put off building the longest were 2 of the things I really enjoyed building and turned out better than I expected: the hill and this bridge. The biggest issue preventing me from starting it was I just had no idea what it would look like, but by now I should just know that when I'm in those situations, all I really need to do is sit down and start building, and a good design will come together. I made it extra wide to be able to fit the juggernaut, but the real question is it strong enough to hold the juggernaut? Nice. The storage area looks so good. I don't know if you remember, but a couple months back, I was worried the flat terrain in the base just wasn't turning out as good as I wanted. But part of me wondered if that was just because there wasn't enough of it to really judge how it was gonna look. And now that more terrain's done, I'm pleased to say it turned out beautifully. The little patches of wedge plates were what really pushed it over the edge and completed the look and made it feel more like actual ground. That being said, I still have a lot of work to do in that department. I did bury the battery box out in the wasteland, and now I have very easy access to it in order to flip on the lights of the mine shaft. Every time I come to the close of a MOC series, I can't believe it's already over. This one went on much longer than I had planned, in large part because I'm no longer doing the weekly updates. And I much prefer it that way. I was significantly less rushed while making each video, and it felt like there was more meaningful building and less boring filler work in each one, because I didn't need to stretch the progress out over as many videos or worry about what I was going to do in the next update. The off weeks in between updates also gave me a break from the build so I could return to it refreshed each time. This was an experimental series for 3 big reasons. First was the upload schedule, which I just talked about, and the second reason was this is my first big MOC series that wasn't of a specific scene or battle in Star Wars. I created my own story and environment from basically nothing, and I was a little worried this wouldn't be very interesting to a broad audience. months. But each episode averaged about 40,000 views, which makes this one of my best performing mock series to date. So I just want to take a second and say thank you to each and every one of you who tuned in and supported this series, whether you've been following from day one or you just found me. The third and last reason is pretty obvious. This was my first ever Imperial era mock series, and well, based on what I've previously said, Imperial mocks can do just fine on this channel. All things considered, I am so happy with how this series went, and I've learned a great deal which will make the next one even better. But I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. We haven't even gotten to the best part of this series yet. The finale. That's scheduled to go out this month on the 25th, and stay tuned for some bonus content next week. But that's a wrap for building Mimban and Lego. Don't forget to let me know what you think of the mock down below in the comments, and until next time, happy building.